Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking all things breastfeeding and weaning because our journey is officially done. So if that is not something that interests you, feel free to click on by. I have tons of videos that are not about breastfeeding, but let's address the elephant in the room. Take a moment to appreciate my hair. I literally never do anything aside from straighten it, but I'm trying to get outside my comfort zone and do something new at least once a week. Also, if you hear little nails tapping in the background, that is my puppy. She's not really a puppy, we just call her puppy. That is Ava. If Ember is asleep, she is awake. So there's always noise in my house. But today we are going to be talking about how our breastfeeding journey ended. Now, if you don't follow me on Instagram, be sure to follow me. It's just Jade Newton. That is where I asked for you guys to submit any and all breastfeeding, weaning questions that you had, and then I collected them all on my phone and we are going to dive in. I am going to do my best to just share from experience. What I want to say is however you choose to feed your child is totally okay. Fed is best. I will always say that. This is simply my experience, what worked for us, how we kind of progressed through the journey and things like that. So if you're interested in learning or hearing all my tips and tricks, kind of what we did, then just keep on watching. Okay, I'm gonna dive right in hopes that I can hopefully get through this video before Ember wakes up and answer all your questions. So I tried to kind of arrange them in a way that made the most sense. So hopefully it is clear for you. But the very first question that I wanted to cover is breastfeeding must-haves and regrets. I personally don't think I have any regrets. I honestly couldn't think of a single thing. However, I do have a couple must-haves. The very first thing is a Haka. It is a silicone breast pump, I guess, but the way that I used it is I simply attached it on the side that I wasn't feeding on, and that is how I was able to, number one, not waste all of the letdown, but number two, start building a freezer supply, which I am so thankful for. Granted, in 2020, we didn't do any traveling, so I didn't necessarily need a freezer supply, but it has come in handy now, which I will talk about a little bit more further in the video. I also absolutely loved my Boppy, my breastfeeding pillow. I used it from the day that we got home in the hospital, still to this day. Even when she's having a bottle and I'm holding her, I still use that. And if I'm being honest, when Jacob and I are watching TV at night, one of us is always using that pillow to lay our heads on. So we use it all the time. We have gotten absolutely incredible use out of it. Another thing that I would recommend for breastfeeding moms, especially in the beginning, is some sort of pad to put in your bra, especially for the first couple of weeks, because you are gonna likely leak when your milk is trying to adjust and figure out how much your baby's eating, how much is needed, and things like that. So I personally used reusable ones. They were incredible. They came in one of my bump boxes, I believe, which I got every trimester through pregnancy. And at the time I was like, that doesn't really make sense. I use them all the time for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks. And I loved that I could just toss them in the laundry, wash them, and they were good to go. I will say I never tried the reusable ones, but I never tried the throwaway ones because I just didn't want to have to worry about that. It just made sense, like, to use reusable ones because I already had them. So that's personally what I used and I loved them. The next question was, did you pump or did you only breastfeed? So originally, we planned to go on a trip when our daughter was 14 weeks old. We planned to leave for 5 nights. So I started pumping right away. I used the Haka literally from like the first week she was home, and I was able to, like I said, create somewhat of a supply for myself through that, because every single time I used that I would get like 1 to 2 ounces, and I would just keep it in the fridge throughout the day, and at the end of the day I would take all that I had collected and put it in the freezer. So every single day I was putting at least 1 bag in the freezer. By the time our trip rolled around, it was March and the world closed down and we didn't go on our trip. I had over 300 ounces, and I am so thankful that I have been able to breastfeed and that I was able to create a stockpile for us, and that I was able to do that. I had over 300, maybe even more. Maybe I had over 500. I can't remember off the top of my head. Our freezer was full. So I definitely pumped leading up to that trip because I wanted to make sure that she had enough so that we could continue our breastfeeding journey past the trip, but the trip was canceled. So I didn't really pump after that unless she wasn't with me. So my mom does watch her twice a week. In those times, she's taking a bottle and I would need to pump if I wasn't feeding her. So I did do a little bit of both, but I exclusively breastfed when she was with me. I never gave her a bottle. We never gave her a bottle unless for some reason I wasn't there or she couldn't eat from me, if that makes sense. So I did exclusively breastfeed. The next question that I thought was super good was how to wean nights. This is something that I honestly did so much research on. Ember nursed in the middle of the night until 9 months. So we have a fantastic sleeper. I've talked about this time and time again. Like, she is a really good sleeper. We put her down at 8 p.m. She wakes up most days around 8:30. And she's been doing that since I think about 5 months, but she woke up every single night to nurse until 9 months. So I wasn't getting tons of rested sleep. I was still waking up at least once a night until 9 months. And so I was starting to research at that time, like, how do I wean in the nights? And a lot of the research that I saw, and of course everyone's journey is different, but a lot of the things I saw is that babies that are breastfed typically do still need food because of how their body processes breast milk at night. They typically do need milk in the middle of the night because they get hungry and they need the nutrients. So I just kind of let her do her thing. However, once we got closer to 9 months, what I did is I always tracked when I was feeding her so that I knew how long on each side. I just used a simple app. There's tons of them. I can't remember the one off the top of my head, like what it was called, but there's tons of them and they're all pretty similar. I would just shorten the nursing session by like a minute every couple days. And then at 9 months, it was literally like almost spot on. At 9 months, she just decided she was done. One night she slept through the night and I was like, what in the world? What happened? And never again did she wake up. And from that day, knock on wood, she has only needed us 2 different times. There was one time around 10 months that she woke up crying, and so I was like, I don't know, go get her, we'll see if she wants to eat. She didn't. She just kind of wanted to be like consoled and put back to sleep. And then a couple of weeks ago, she had her first diaper rash and she woke up from that. So I am so thankful. We have a really good sleeper, and I feel very lucky. A lot of these transition moments, I've told Jacob, have gone so much smoother than I ever imagined. Like nighttime weaning, she kind of did it herself. Like moving into a crib, she did really well, but every baby is so different. So just because she has been a really good little transitioner doesn't mean that possible future babies won't be the complete opposite. But again, this is just what worked for us. So I just shortened the time every couple nights until eventually she no longer needed it. And I do think for a little while it was more comfort. And then she just decided, okay, I'm a big kid, I'm gonna sleep through the nights now. The next question I have is, I got a lot of similar questions. So it was kind of like, how did you know it was time to stop? Why did you decide to stop? So initially going into becoming a mom, I really hoped that I could breastfeed because it was something that I wanted to do. And so then when we were able to, and she latched really well and we kind of got in our routine, I was thinking small milestones. So my first milestone that I wanted to hit was 6 months. When we hit that, I said, okay, I want to aim for 9 months. When we hit that, I was like, okay, let's do 1 year. And so that was always my goal. I never had the goal to go further than a year. And like my mom breastfed me, my brother, and my sister all kind of different times. And so my family has been super supportive with me breastfeeding Ember. Jacob's family has been super supportive. No one told me when to stop, how long to go, or anything like that. It was kind of just up to us. So I had in my mind that I wanted to make it to 1 year. After that, it was kind of just like, we're just gonna see how it goes. But as we got closer to a year, I noticed that she kind of was, I don't know, losing interest herself. So it was kind of a combination of the two. She was ready, I was ready. And so it kind of just worked really smoothly that we both decided, okay, this is the time. So we made it to a year, and then I think it was like 2.5 weeks after is when my official last day of breastfeeding her was. So that's kind of how I decided and why I decided. It was always just a goal to make it to a year. We did that. And then she kind of decided on her own as well that she was ready to just be done. The next question is, I got tons and tons of questions about this, and I'm maybe it's a controversial topic. I always listen to what our pediatrician recommends because we really love her, and we are going to listen to what she says because we trust her guidance. Every doctor's different, every baby's different, every family's different, so do what your heart feels. But I got tons of questions about this, and it said, what type of milk did you transition to? Did you transition to another type of milk? How are you switching to whole milk? Are you switching to whole milk? If so, how, why? So tons of questions about like what kind of milk we're transitioning her to. Now, our doctor, Ember's doctor, her pediatrician, did recommend whole milk, so that's what we're doing. Ember has always been a petite little gal, and so I just want to do what her doctor believes is best. I wanted to make sure that she was continuing to grow properly, that she was gaining weight properly, and things like that. So I didn't question it. Ember is drinking whole milk. However, she is still drinking a combination of breast milk and whole milk. Because I had that huge freezer supply that I previously pumped when we thought we were going on the trip, we've been pulling from that, and she has been slowly having more whole milk and less breast milk. So I wouldn't say she's necessarily 100% on whole milk now, because every bottle that she gets is still a mixture of the two. So she is drinking whole milk, yes, but not 100% yet. She's still drinking a mixture. And the reason that we chose to do that is because that is what her pediatrician recommended, and that's what we went with. Now, Jacob and I don't really drink milk, ever, literally ever. We drink almond milk, so maybe down the road we'll transition her to almond milk, but for right now, this is what's working for our family. And then tips for weaning. So this is what worked for us. I reached out to a couple of my friends that are also moms and have gone through this and kind of picked their brain about what worked for them, how they did it. There's so many different ways. I want to first say that there are so many different ways. One of my really good friends said that what they did is they, one, made sure they were on a really good schedule prior, which we were as well. She ate at very set times, right when she woke up from her nighttime sleep, right when she woke up from her morning nap, right when she woke up from her afternoon nap, and then right before bed. So those were like her set 4 feeds a day. And then some people choose to first get the baby on a bottle and then to pump at the times that they're having the bottle until you slowly can wean it down. That's not what I did. So what we personally did, and like I said, there are so many different ways to go about this. What we personally did is at 9 months, that is when our nighttime feed stopped. So we went from 4 feeds to 5 feeds at that, or from, sorry, 5 feeds to 4 feeds at that time. Around 11.5 months, I knew, okay, ideally around 12 months, around 13 months, I would like to end our breastfeeding journey. I dropped her least interactive, I guess, or her least interactive feeding. So she was eating the least amount and she was the least interested in the afternoon. So that feed had gotten down to like 3 minutes or like 5 minutes on a good day. She just wasn't that interested. She'd rather have like actual snacks or play. Like she just didn't care. So around 11.5 months, right around Thanksgiving time for us, I actually just stopped that one. And I personally just stopped it. I'm very thankful. I never had clogged milk ducts or anything like that. So I personally just cut it out. I didn't have any issues. She didn't have any issues. And instead, what I did is when I woke her up, or when she woke up from her afternoon nap, I would immediately offer her a snack to kind of just occupy her or distract her so that it wasn't what was on her mind. I always offered her water and a snack, and she's been totally okay. So that happened around 11.5 months. And then right around 1 year, I also dropped her lunch feed. One day, we just had like a weird schedule. She slept a little longer than normal for her morning nap. I had to pick up groceries. She was taking forever to eat her lunch. And I was just like, you know what? We're just gonna try no bottle. Or no, like, cause I was gonna give her a bottle in the car. I was like, we're just gonna try nothing. We're just gonna see how she does. And she did so well, but I felt like, did she still need that? I don't know. And so like before her afternoon nap, I offered her the milk and she took it. But around that day, I was just like, I don't think she needs it. And so from that day moving on, it was kind of hit or miss for a couple days. It was like when she woke up, sometimes I would feed her, sometimes I would just go directly into lunch. So right around 1 year is when she stopped her lunch nursing session. And so we were just at morning and night. And so what I have found works really well is right when she wakes up, rather than feeding her, like nursing her, I would immediately, again, sit her down, feed her lunch. Same thing that I did with her afternoon feed. Sit her down, offer her a snack. And so I'd always offer her something, but it was never milk. So that worked for us, and it seemed to work really, really well. It didn't faze her, she was never mad. So that was right around 12 months. So we were just at the morning and night feeding. Now from there, what I slowly started to do was shorten the amount of time she nursed, and then I started to offer her a bottle to fill her up. So more so in the evening, I would nurse her for like, as I would try like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I would offer her a bottle just to make sure she was full, because obviously I wanted to make sure that she was having enough milk, but I wanted my body to get used to not producing as much, and I wanted her to get used to not eating from me as much. And so every couple days I would just shorten it a little bit and a little bit more, and that worked really well. The mornings were probably the hardest for me to give up, because that was just our quiet time in the morning, and she was always like cuddly, and so I loved that. So I did nurse her in the morning the longest. That was my last one to go. But the two kind of went very seamlessly, because she just naturally started, as the days went on, to like pull off and ask for a baba. She would say like baba, baba, and want a bottle. And I'm sure that was because I was starting to produce less, she wanted more. And so naturally it just kind of happened. And on my birthday, December 28th, I just woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna force it anymore, because she was like wanting a bottle more than me. I just decided that day was gonna be our first day of only giving her bottles. So from December 28th, 2020, she has only eaten from a bottle, and it was kind of a sad moment, but also kind of freeing, and kind of like, oh my gosh, this is the first time in, I don't know, almost 2 years that I haven't either been growing a baby or nurturing a baby with my body. And so it was a very bittersweet moment, but that is kind of how it worked for us. Now she has about 6 ounces in the morning, 6 ounces in the evening. And I offer her water throughout the day, and she's doing really well. What I will say is I am still giving her, I know I touched on this, I am still giving her the milk that we have. Might as well use it up. It still benefits her nutritionally. So I am still using breast milk that we have in the freezer. We only have, I don't know, not even a month of that left, probably a couple of weeks, if that. And so we're just giving her about 2 ounces of breast milk and then 4 ounces of whole milk. So that's kind of our, I don't know, ratio right now. And then the very last question that I got from a couple people, but my friend Emily texted me and messaged me this and said, so tell me, what do I have to look forward to? Did your boobs turn to pancakes? I previously had a 50-pound weight loss, so I'm not gonna say I had like the most perky boobs, but they've definitely shrunk, but they're not like, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about how they look. So that was something that honestly scared me too. So I'm glad that a couple of people asked, because I'm gonna be an open book. I'm gonna share that with you guys. Like, I'm not mad with how they look. I'm very proud that we made it a year. I'm very excited that we made it a year. And I'm very, very, very thankful that my little one kind of has made all these transitions on her own. I feel like I just went in with an open mind. I tried my hardest not to do too much research and not to overthink everything, because I don't know any adults that are still breastfeeding, you know? So I just knew in the back of my head like it was gonna work out how it was supposed to work out, and it went really, really smoothly, and I'm very thankful for that. So if you are breastfeeding or exclusively pumping and you're thinking like, how do I even take this leap of closing this chapter, just trust yourself. Trust yourself, trust your body, trust your baby. It will happen. Yes, you can slowly start to make tweaks like shortening the nursing sessions, shortening the amount of time you're pumping, but don't steal your joy. Don't overstress, because this is a beautiful thing that you're able to do. This is an incredible gesture that you're able to do for your baby. And just know that it's a short time in your life. You're gonna blink and wish that you had a newborn baby again. It is crazy that I have a 1-year-old now, but hopefully this was helpful. Again, if you don't follow me over on Instagram, be sure to do so. That is where I share my day-to-day life, and I always ask for suggestions on videos, so I will be in the comments down below. I would love to know if you breastfeed, if you exclusively pump, what your journeys look like, and if you have weaned, did it go anything like mine? Is it completely different? I would love to get to know you guys and chat a little bit more in the comments down below. But I hope you have an amazing day, and Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Here's to hoping that we have an amazing year. I'll talk to you guys in my next video.